Boeing's $35 billion disaster just got exposed by Elon Musk. 241 people died when their quote-unquote world's safest Dreamliner crashed. NASA astronauts got stranded in space because Boeing's capsule was too dangerous to bring them home. Meanwhile, Boeing executives walked away with $45 million bonuses. But here's what shocked everyone. Musk revealed NASA knew about the problems all along, and kept paying anyway. Why did NASA finally quit on Boeing after decades of partnership? What did Musk discover that changed everything? And which company is secretly replacing Boeing right now? Let's dive right in. The day Boeing's perfect record died. Picture this, June 12th, exactly noon, Ahmedabad Airport. Air India flight AI-71 powers down the runway. Inside, 242 passengers settle into their seats, trusting their lives to Boeing's 787 Dreamliner. The aircraft Boeing had marketed for 15 years as the world's safest commercial plane. Minutes later, only one person would survive. This wasn't just another plane crash. This was the moment Boeing's carefully crafted safety image crumbled to dust. For 15 years, the Dreamliner had maintained a perfect record. 0 fatal crashes, 0 deaths. Boeing executives had built their reputations and billion-dollar bonuses on that pristine safety record. But here's what they never told you. Whistleblowers had been screaming warnings for years. Sam Salapur, a Boeing quality engineer, watched in horror as workers literally jumped on aircraft parts, forcing them into alignment when they wouldn't fit properly. When he tried to report these dangerous shortcuts, Boeing destroyed his career. Then there was John Barnett, a veteran quality inspector who knew Boeing's darkest secrets. He was preparing to expose systematic manufacturing cover-ups in federal court. The evidence he'd gathered could have sent executives to prison. 3 days before his scheduled testimony, Barnett was found dead in his car. Suicide, they claimed. What did John Barnett discover that was worth killing for? The $4.2 billion space humiliation. While Boeing's planes were literally falling apart, their space program was becoming NASA's most expensive nightmare. The Starliner spacecraft started as Boeing's guaranteed money machine, a $4.2 billion contract that seemed like easy profit. December 2019. Starliner's maiden voyage. Within hours, everything went catastrophically wrong. A software glitch threw the spacecraft's internal clock off by 11 hours. The thrusters began firing randomly at completely wrong times. The capsule spun helplessly in space, unable to dock with the International Space Station. But that wasn't the worst part. Engineers discovered another software flaw that could have killed the entire crew during re-entry. The service module might have smashed directly into the crew capsule during separation. Boeing had to emergency check over 1 million lines of code, finding critical errors throughout their entire system. How does a company with 60 years of aerospace experience make mistakes this basic? May 2022. Boeing's second attempt at redemption. More thruster failures during orbit insertion. Faulty valves in the propellant system. Fire-prone tape wrapped around critical wiring. Parachute connectors that couldn't handle basic stress loads. Each failure revealed deeper problems. This wasn't bad luck. This was systematic incompetence disguised as engineering. June 2024, the moment that changed everything. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams finally launched aboard Starliner. After years of delays and billions of taxpayer dollars, Boeing promised this mission would restore their reputation. Instead, it became their final humiliation. As Starliner approached the space station, 5 out of 28 thrusters failed simultaneously. Helium leaks that Boeing had dismissed as minor issues became life-threatening emergencies. The spacecraft's propulsion system was literally falling apart in real time. NASA faced an impossible choice. NASA Kingdom. Risk the astronauts' lives bringing them home in Boeing's broken capsule, or admit that their $4.2 billion investment was a complete disaster. They chose to strand Butch and Suni in space rather than trust Boeing with their lives. Think about that for a moment. NASA, The agency that successfully landed 12 men on the moon declared Boeing's spacecraft too dangerous to carry 2 people back to Earth. When your own customer would rather leave astronauts stranded in space than use your product, you've reached a new level of corporate failure. The greed machine that destroyed everything. Here's where Elon Musk's investigation gets truly explosive. The problem wasn't just engineering incompetence. It was systematic corruption disguised as business strategy. For decades, NASA had used cost-plus contracts with Boeing. Here's how this scam worked. Whatever Boeing spent on a project, NASA would reimburse them, plus guaranteed profits on top. No matter how badly they screwed up, no matter how much they wasted, Boeing always got paid. It was legalized theft from taxpayers. Boeing's space launch system perfectly demonstrates this corruption. Originally budgeted at $962 million in 2017, current cost? $2.8 billion and still climbing. The rocket that was supposed to launch in December 2016 didn't fly until 2022, 6 years late. But Boeing executives didn't care. Every delay meant more billable hours. Every failure meant more guaranteed profits. Then NASA made a fatal mistake, at least from Boeing's perspective. They introduced fixed-price contracts. Suddenly, Boeing had to deliver working products on time and on budget. If they failed, they ate the losses themselves. SpaceX received the exact same contract terms and launched astronauts successfully in 2020. Boeing, with decades more experience and billions more funding, is still failing 4 years later. Internal documents revealed Boeing's desperate attempts to maintain their monopoly. They lobbied aggressively to eliminate competition and secure the entire $6.8 billion commercial crew budget for themselves. Boeing executives assumed their legacy reputation would guarantee easy money forever. They couldn't have been more wrong. The cover-up that reached the White House. Musk's investigation uncovered the most damning evidence yet. NASA knew about Boeing's systemic problems from the very beginning, but kept writing checks anyway. Why would they do this? The Aviation Safety Network had documented 291 significant incidents with the Dreamliner before the fatal crash. Lithium-ion battery fires that grounded the entire fleet, fuel leaks during flight, cabin pressure failures at altitude, software errors that could have killed hundreds. Boeing's stock has hemorrhaged 25% of its value in 2024 alone. Total losses since 2019, over $35 billion in shareholder value evaporated. Yet CEO Dave Calhoun walked away with a $45 million golden parachute while families buried their dead. But here's the twist that explains everything. NASA's continued support for Boeing wasn't about engineering competence, it was about political insurance. With Elon Musk now advising President Trump, NASA suddenly needed a backup plan. What if SpaceX became politically unreliable? What if Musk's companies got caught up in political warfare? So NASA kept Boeing on life support, hoping to maintain redundancy in human spaceflight. They chose political hedging over human safety, and people died because of that choice. The secret replacement plan. While NASA publicly pretends to evaluate Boeing's future, they're secretly courting replacements, all positioning themselves as Boeing's successors in the commercial space race. These newcomers possess something Boeing lost long ago: hunger, innovation, and accountability. They're not weighed down by decades of cost-plus thinking or golden parachute executives who profit from failure. NASA's planned 2026 Starliner mission reveals their true intentions. They won't even confirm whether it will carry astronauts or just cargo. That's not caution. That's preparation for Boeing's final exit from human spaceflight. The writing is on the wall. The empire's final days. Boeing's collapse represents something far larger than corporate failure. This is the death of an era where reputation could mask incompetence indefinitely, where taxpayer money could subsidize executive greed without consequences, where American workers and passengers paid the price for boardroom corruption. The same company that built the Saturn V rocket that carried Neil Armstrong to the moon now can't safely transport 2 astronauts to a space station 250 miles above Earth. From aerospace pioneer to cautionary tale in less than 2 decades, Boeing's executives chose short-term profits over long-term survival. They chose stock buybacks over safety improvements. They chose to silence whistleblowers rather than fix fundamental problems. Now they're paying the ultimate price: irrelevance. The question isn't whether Boeing will survive this crisis. Companies can recover from financial disasters, even from technical failures, but they cannot recover from becoming synonymous with death. Every time passengers board a Boeing aircraft, they'll remember Flight AI-71. Every time NASA considers Boeing for a contract, they'll remember Butch and Suni stranded in space. Every time investors evaluate Boeing's stock, they'll remember the $35 billion in losses. Boeing didn't just lose money. They lost something far more valuable. They lost trust. And in aerospace, trust is everything. So here we are, watching one of America's greatest aerospace giants crumble before our eyes. Boeing's story isn't just about corporate greed or engineering failures. It's a warning about what happens when profit becomes more important than people, when executives prioritize stock prices over human lives. But this raises a bigger question. If Boeing can fall this far, this fast, what does that say about the entire aerospace industry? SpaceX revolutionized space travel in 2 decades. Blue Origin is pushing boundaries with lunar missions. Meanwhile, Boeing, with 60 years of experience, can't safely transport 2 astronauts home. The space race isn't just heating up, it's completely reshaping. And the companies winning aren't the old giants. They're the hungry newcomers who still remember that reputation is earned, not inherited. What do you think? Should NASA cut ties with Boeing completely, or give them one final chance to prove they've changed? Drop your thoughts below, and if you want to stay ahead of the space industry's biggest stories, you know what to do. The future of space exploration is being written right now, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. SpaceX just shocked NASA with their Raptor 4 engine, 330 tons of thrust. That's triple the power of Saturn V's legendary F1 engine. Here's what's crazy. This level of performance was supposed to be impossible. The chamber pressure is so high, it should melt the engine parts. But SpaceX found a way. And timing matters. While NASA struggles with Artemis delays, Elon quietly built the most powerful rocket engine in history. Why now? What's the real plan behind this monster? The answer changes everything we know about Mars missions. Let's dive right in. The numbers that shock the world. So what exactly makes this Raptor 4 so devastating? 330 tons of thrust. That's not just impressive, that's physics breaking. Picture this. The Saturn V's F1 engine, the legendary beast that carried Apollo to the moon, produced 110 tons of thrust. Engineers called it a masterpiece, the pinnacle of rocket science. SpaceX just tripled it. But here's what makes your blood run cold. Elon Musk dropped this bombshell almost casually during a random interview with everyday astronaut. No fanfare, no press conference, just, oh, by the way, we hit 330 tons. Why the silence? What are they hiding? The progression tells a terrifying story. Raptor 1, 185 tons. Raptor 2, 230 tons. Raptor 3, 280 tons. Each jump seemed impossible. Each breakthrough defied conventional wisdom. Now Raptor 4, 330 tons. That's a 43% increase over Raptor 2 in just 2 generations. This isn't evolution. This is revolution. The weight paradox that defies logic. Here's where it gets absolutely insane. While thrust exploded, weight plummeted. Raptor V1 weighed 2,000 kilograms, a metal monster. Raptor V2 dropped to 1,600 kilograms. Engineers thought that was the limit. They were wrong. Raptor 4, just 1,500 kilograms. Lighter than a compact car, yet powerful enough to launch skyscrapers into orbit. The thrust-to-weight ratio, 220 to 1. Compare that to the legendary Merlin 1D at 180 to 1. SpaceX didn't just improve the engine, they rewrote the laws of physics. But there's a problem, a massive, terrifying problem that should have killed this project before it started. The death trap that shouldn't work. Every rocket engineer knows the cardinal rule. More power equals more heat. More heat equals melted metal. Melted metal equals catastrophic explosion. Raptor 4's chamber pressure, 350 bar. That's 350 times atmospheric pressure. Inside that combustion chamber, temperatures reach 3,000 degrees Celsius. Hot enough